Welcome to the last session of the day, or apparently midway. Hooray! Oh, it's already spotlighted. Okay. Weird. Okay, just a moment here. So what is being proposed and what's being suggested is that all illusion is emptiness, and emptiness is also an illusion. Illusion is nothing, and nothing is an illusion. It's all the same. So there's no nothing, there's no illusion. It's not a negation, it's just that nothing is the same as an illusion. Emptiness is an illusion. And it goes back and forth. Again, what's being suggested is that there's no finality, there's no absolute, there's no position in this. It's the unbelief of all the beliefs, the untruths of all the proposed truths, the unknowing of all things known, negation of all negation, the unfolding of the immovable, the transcendence in all of the understanding, the futility of all seeking. There's nothing certain. There's nothing and there's not nothing at all. We're fucked. Well, there's no one. It's just fucked. So I got a copy of the thing, but I'm not supposed to release it from the scientist that I was talking about the last time. I'm not sure if Tej is here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tej. But seemingly what they're looking for is a particle that makes up this universe. But all they find is apparently the process or sequence of movements or in motion. Nothing is solid. Nothing is certain. What's being expressed here cannot really be truly described because it never holds still. It's never a position. It's never a location. So seeking for a finality when everything is dynamic, this is dynamic stillness. Everything is moving and nothing is moving. It cannot be processed. But everything is process. As I said, it's fucked. It doesn't really get anywhere. It can never be figured out. So in the end of the discussion that we have, basically what was repeated was it can't be figured out what this is. And that's why there's an interest in this, is because it's trying to figure out something that can't be figured out. And scientists are just like seekers. They're looking for the absolute. They're looking for the truth. But they go around in this test, like practices and knowing and understanding and going around and around in a circle. I did not figure out anything because I am not here. And you're not there, you will never figure things out. Because what seems to be happening is this moving stillness, the sound of silence. And it's perfect as it is. So no amount of tinkering or thinking will get you to this. It's fucked. It can never be bottled. When it's being expressed that this is unconditional freedom, that there's no one that can get it, that there's no one that has it. Because like the source of the apparent, of the universe or the, there's no source. So this is sourcelessness without a source. And it was quite, when that apparent, there's no final, But the apparent belief, the final belief, was the belief in something. Although it's been hammered that there's nothing, nothing, emptiness, all that kind of stuff, there was this holding on to, grasping onto something, that it had a fate of something. There's got to be something bigger than this. There's got to be something more than this. There's something better than this. But what it's being expressed is that this is all that there is. And all that there is cannot be captured by imagination. All that this is cannot be thought about. So when it's said that there's nothing happening, it's dot, 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 dot. It's this and this and this and this and this. We can't capture infinity. Because the moment that we capture it, infinity becomes an illusion. Because it becomes an idea. It becomes a thought process. It becomes philosophy. It becomes an understanding. So in this immediate expression of what seems to be going on, there's this moving stillness that appears as this. This is stillness that's moving. Try to picture that. You can't. It's fucked. There were many nights, saying as a seeker that I was trying to, I'm like, I can't get it. I just can't seem to get it. Because it was hanging on to a belief of a source, of consciousness, of awareness. Because everything that the character thinks about is character driven. It's a manipulation to maintain the reality of this, although nothing is real. And in this quest for this finality, what was exposed was the one that's seeking the quest, the one that is seeking, is just this energy. It's just this energy. It's all energy. It's not even separate energy. It's just energy. It's just appearing as seeking, but it's energy. It's just appearing as finding, but it's energy. So since there's no duality, how can energy find itself? How can energy lose itself? But the energy is not a source. See, that's another thing that gets tricked up, right? It's like, it must be just the source. No, there's no source. And it becomes this, and it goes underground further, you know what I'm saying? Then this must be just all pure consciousness. This must be pure awareness. That's landing somewhere. It's like saving you a trip to eternity. I've been there. The understanding that it's consciousness, the understanding that it's awareness, the understanding that this is, I've reached it, the peak of the mountain, but it's seen that it's a dream, it's an illusion, because every tinkering, every thinking, every understanding always leads up to, it's fucked. It can't be figured out. So this seeking energy is just emptiness seeking itself. But that sounds dualistic, but you can only express it that way. It appears in absolutely everything. It's the tiny little miracles that appear. The dewdrop on the grass, the blade of grass, the sunlight, the air, the blinking of the eyes, the bitter taste, the sweetness, the sound. But all of that is moving. But it's also still. All of that is changing, but it's unchangeable. And then there's this seeming kind of like, what are these thoughts then? It's movement. It's stillness. Appearing as movement. Again, it's dynamic stillness. It's moving stillness. And before you say the God word, When it becomes an understanding again, when it becomes this kind of like, well, it must be this. Again, it has arrived at something. It arrived at a location. It arrived at a conclusion that it must be this. It becomes an interpretation of something that does not require interpretation, does not require words, does not even require this talk. This talk is seemingly happening because it's moving stillness. It's silent sounding. But since there is no time, there is no self, there's no consciousness, there's no time, the impossibility is happening like tiny little miracles. But no one's causing it. No one's doing it. Because there's this question that arises, if I'm not doing it, if I'm not doer it, who's on the wheel? Is it Jesus? Maybe Buddha? Again, every time that there is a thought, there's a conclusion again. There's a finality again. And that's when it's fucked again. Because there's always something missing. There's always something lacking. But when it's seen that that lacking and fullness is the same, it's just appearing as fullness or lack. It's appearing as seeking. It's appearing as whatever. Then the one that's fucked is not real. And it's kind of like, oh, this doesn't have a source. This doesn't have a beginning or an end. This is eternity. But no one's driving eternity. No one's creating infinity. Because a creation will have a beginning and an ending. Since what's being suggested does not have a beginning or ending or any of that, what's happening is just this dynamic movement, this dynamic motion of stillness. It's running by itself. It's happening. It's happening. Regardless of what you think. It's happening, but it's not happening. And that's unthinkable. So many nights of seeking, a long time ago. It seemed like there's no time a long time ago. Because I know that Tony was interested in science as well. I started reading some of this stuff and I was like, whoa, I didn't understand it. I like art, so I'm not really into the processes and all that kind of stuff. It was very confusing. But seemingly, there's this, when I was talking to a bunch of these guys, I was like, they're seekers. That's why there's this interest in this. And I'm like, they're fucked. But there's no one that knows here. There's just this apparent seeing that this is unsolvable. This is an unsolvable mystery. And fucking with the mystery will just get you fucked. You will just keep on going in a circle, going round and round and round and round. And there's this discontentment. The contentment is, that I was talking about, is there's nothing that I can do because there's no one doing any of this. There's no I that's driving this. There's no I that's choosing this. There's no I am that will get into a position. There's no finality to this. So when I walk in the morning, there's just walking happening. Oh, wow. This is just what's happening. No one knows what's next. No one knows because there's no one here. The knowing comes into place when there is a possession, when there is a identification. So when there's a whole, how can there be identification? When there's just this wholeness, how can there be an identity? How can there be a being when it's all no things? Who's even asking the question? No one. This is just gibberish, and if you would like to share some gibberish with me, please go ahead. Cheers. Someone said, "What did you guys talk about?" They were talking about quarks, and I don't really understand quarks. Do you know what quarks are, Tej?
Yeah, I mean, they're subatomic particles.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're right, Emerson. At the core of it, as we discussed before, in this whatever you call it, reality or something, eventually there can be no separation.
Yeah.
Once there is no separation, who's the one who's going to understand the rest
Yeah.
of it? It's the same one who's looking at the same thing.
Yeah. They were
Yeah,
getting
they are indeed fucked.
yeah, they were getting stumped at the end because I just kept saying, I guess it's fucked, right? It can never arrive at anything. It can never figure it out. So why are all of this processes or this test going on? It's like seeking. It's an
Yeah,
obsessive lover.
it is. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
It is. Science
Yeah.
is seeking. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, right? If,
And
if you
then,
look at all the scientists, they're intense seekers. I was like, wow, this is really intense. The seeking is so intense that they
oh,
actually
yeah.
give up their life, you know what I'm saying? And trying to figure they stay up sometimes they say for like hours and hours and doing all of this work that they do and trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
What reality
Even
is.
in quantum mechanics, I mean, there are indications that they're not taking too seriously that the result of a quantum mechanical experiment is altered when there is an observer.
Yes, yes, that's what I
You
was
see?
yeah. Yeah.
And what that means is when there is one united whole, if you have an observer, you're extracting a point of view into the totality and it changes the experiment.
Exactly. It's kind of like when a teacher
It's
is trying to
weird.
teach practice. Practice what? Practice maintaining? It's a maintenance. It's all maintenance, right, of this apparent reality. As real as it seems, is an illusion. It's a complete fabrication. There's no solidity in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think they'll probably suspect that it is an illusion. I think some do,
Yes,
but
they do. Yes, some of them
yeah,
do. Some of them do that this
yeah.
is but they're trying to understand what the illusion is. It's just it's brilliant, it was a fun conversation, but it's just but they want to to keep on going with some of the tests and everything that yeah, we'll talk about it later, but yeah, it's fascinating. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. Are you trying to say something, Monique? Oh no, no, okay, she's just talking to someone. Okay, sorry. Hi, Monique. Hello.
Hi, hi,
Hi.
hi, everybody.
Hi.
Um, While you were speaking, I'm out on the porch here on the porch swing with my dog, and I have a bird feeder, and this little red-headed woodpecker just keeps coming back and forth, and to the feeder, to the roof, to the feeder. That's why I keep looking. The dog's looking, but it was this, what you were talking about with, obviously everything is this, including
Yes.
the little red-headed woodpecker.
Yes, yeah.
But there's also like a feeling of appreciation.
Yeah.
Feels like watching the beauty of this little animal,
It's a
just doing
simple
his thing.
it's the simple little miracles, you know what I'm saying? Just
Beautiful,
like
just the
that.
colors, the
Yeah.
vibrancy, and now the blue jays are at the feeder, and they're so gorgeous.
Yes.
And I think that you just feel that beauty,
Yeah,
that's
it
all.
is.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It is. It doesn't have to be figured out, right? It's just this. It's
Like
just this. And that's the obviousness that it's just this. And the this that keeps on getting mentioned, or the it that keeps on getting mentioned, is unknowable. And
Yeah.
there's this appreciation, because you know what, there was a kind of like a white flag. Okay, I can't figure it out, so it is what it is. It's just the
There's
it's
no
just
story.
there's
There's
no
no story about
story.
there's no like, where did the little, woodpecker go? Where's he from? Like how, there's no like narrative. It's just, he's right there.
It's
He's
just yeah,
beautiful. The blue jays are beautiful.
yeah.
It's like you talk about, like dead on, like it's vibrant.
It is. It is. It's the radiance of nothing. Thank you.
It was so nice, just that share by Monique, because it's like the opposite of what the scientist is doing, what the seeker is
Yes.
doing, what the
Yeah.
lover who's just desperate for that other
Yeah.
person to
Yeah.
want them back. It's like
Yeah.
the total opposite, right?
It
The
is.
scientist wants to know where did that bird go?
Yeah.
What is that bird? Where are they migrating? What are they?
How did they
I mean, it's
turn
just
blue?
endless. Yeah, endless, endless,
Yeah.
endless. And that's the point of it, is endlessness.
It's endless. Yeah, it's endless. That's why it's fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it can never really arrive at something. And it's the same thing as religion. It's the same thing as spirituality. It tries to arrive at something, and it's just a delusion. What's
Yeah.
being expressed here is just the simplicity of what's happening. Um, and it's not this magical thinking that it's a incarnate, all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying, that I really dug before. Someone when I didn't know, I had this talk before. I'm like, I don't know who I am, and then someone said, I think you're a bodhisattva. I'm like, I am. So I would like type down, and I'm like, yeah, yeah. And so that's just another illusion, because
Just
it
another
arrives at
hat to
something.
wear.
Just another
Yeah.
hat to wear. Yeah. So it's and there's just this innocence playing separation. It's not even say that. It's just the wind blowing. It's just the clouds rolling. It's just the sweetness appearing.
Yeah.
And it's also the
Beautiful.
shitty stuff.
Yeah. 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 Which I got to experience. Um, yes.
What's the
So is
shitty
the
stuff that you
title?
experienced?
No, that with
Yeah.
all the.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So is the title of this talk going to be "It's Fucked"? Will YouTube allow that, or is it going
Um
to be just unsolved mystery?
I'm not sure. Let me see
You
what I
said both those a lot.
the title that I have is the title is a bit boring. It's illusion is emptiness.
It's fucked is way better. Yeah,
And that
way
just
more
came out
exciting.
that just came out with that title. It's just this the delusion. It's because there's this there's seemingly kind of like a landing somewhere where someone thinks that, oh, I'm in emptiness now. I'm like, no, no, that's an illusion as well. So it's fucked because it just keeps on going over and over again. So it's kind of like how it reminded me how the scientist, you know what I'm saying? They just keep on going in circles and all of these processes and all of these theories, all of these tests, all of this kind of like what Tej was saying, that he can never get it figured out because the moment that it's experimented or the moment it is tested, it's already tampered with. It's unfuckable, basically.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. You know what I'm saying? When there's just it's like there's no process, but we talked about this. That the seeking was just such a laborious, kind of like almost traumatic experience of searching and finding and losing and all that kind of stuff, and being really engaged in it. The engagement was extreme. You were so engaged in it.
Extreme and never ending. Because
Yeah,
every experience, I just wanted another experience. It's no different than drugs. I mean, every
it
high, I
is.
just
Yeah,
wanted another high.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it's
E-
so
e-
true.
Even trying to come back to the workplace, and I'm saying to kind of like, when after all of this ended, um I'm like, I should not be making money. You know what I'm saying? I should refuse this, good paying job, because I should be of service to others and everything. I'm like, what the hell is that? Again.
Hmm.
And it's just this kind of like, I'm glad that you're doing marketing right now, or real estate, right?
Yeah,
It's coming
yeah.
to that
So
normalcy now, right? Which is great.
and not well, also what I heard yesterday, I think it was yesterday, yeah, with Kim, he was talking about the fear arising and seeing that so much of that with all these deals falling apart right on the back of our meeting and so forth. um just recognizing it's just fear of death, because that financial security, that's this energetic pattern that has kind of taken over from spiritual seeking, is the same thing.
It's the
It's
same
just all the
energy.
same thing. Yeah,
It's
it's
the
just
same
oh,
energy.
oh, oh, I got,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
fear is like the addiction, right, of the character, of like the fear. Oh no, it's like the addiction to the story. The fear is like such a tantalizing um energetic pattern of the story, in a way. Like it makes it appear so real. Well, it's real because there's
yeah,
fear,
yeah.
so it must be real because, and it's like it's all just, I don't know if I'm saying anything that makes
Yeah,
sense,
yeah,
but
it
yeah.
does. It does. I talked to a couple of people that are in the finance, sector, and playing the stock market is like seeking as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they
Mm-hmm.
get obsessed with kind of like that highs, and then when it's all crashing, right? It's this kind of like, oh, should I give up the seeking, or no, no? But what if I miss out? What if the market goes back up again, and it goes into that circular motion again of kind of like scientists, right? It's just
Yeah, it's all the
seeking.
same. This
It's all the same.
desire,
Yeah. And
desire to know or to attain, right? To
yeah,
attain knowledge. The scientist is attaining knowledge or an
yeah.
answer. The whatever, whoever it is, the money guy is trying to attain. It's all this idea that there's something here that can attain something there. It's all,
It's all about attainment because there's something lacking, right? But it's the play. It's the
yeah,
play, you know what I'm saying? When it's seen that that's just what's happening, the energy is not quite engaged anymore. It's kind of like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's just what's happening. It's like thinking that you're in a horror movie, and then seeing that it's just a horror movie.
yeah. It's just
That
a movie.
it's just a movie. Yeah, of course there's going to be some jump scares and jump and screams, and you know what I'm saying. But once it's seen that that's not really real, but it feels real, then there's a laughter. My
Yeah.
friends love taking me to horror movies because they know that I jump, you know what I'm saying, and scream really really loudly, and then there's laughter, and also usually people in the movie theater can like shh. It's just engaged. This apparent character is very engaged, you know what I'm saying? and it's and it's just that. It's just that the engagement, the seriousness of it, the seriousness. I know someone too that is a superstar. You know what I'm saying? That is in my country anyway. That fame, for example, she got to the top, way to the top, right? But it's a really lonely place. It's a really lonely place, and it's really because it's just another attainment. It's just another attainment, and it just keeps on going and going and going and going and going. It's a seeking for that appreciation. So I like when Monique said that this is just appreciation. It's not seeking for it. Everything is an appreciation. There's just this contentness. Finally, enough love, because when I was seeking, I was just looking for love.
Right.
Looking for love. It was just looking for a lack of love. When it's oh, this is enough. This is it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Jonathan.
Oh, thank you.
And what you said, Emerson, about religion is the same thing.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same, you know.
It is. It
I
is.
would,
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's you know, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's you know, Jewish, and there was just this discussion about, you know, she takes like everything, you know, is God and all that, and you know, that whole faith, and it's the same in all religions. And I was just having this discussion with her, and I said, well, where is God? Can there be anything outside of God? So the God is not somewhere else in the heaven or whatever. It has to be including you and me and everything else. So,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a trap, right? It's always a trap, you know what I'm saying, when it comes into a finality. That's why it's fucked.
Yeah.
Right? For example, love my mom. She was just talking. My aunt, my aunt-in-law passed away, and she was saying that, oh, she's going to meet now. You know, she's going to be reunited now with this
Yeah.
and that, and I'm longing for that. You know, that kind of thing. It's just I just shut my mouth and just smiled. You know,
Yeah, I
it's just
know.
what it is.
And actually, you know what's funny, Emerson, when I said that, she got a little stunned, you know,
Yeah.
and she was trying to figure it out, like,
Yeah. That's
you
brilliant, though.
know,
Yeah. It's
you
this.
know, and so then she did bring that subject up again
Yeah.
because they get threatened, you know.
It is. It is. And I see no difference from spiritual people are just really religious people in a different costume. They think
Yeah.
it's a shinier costume. They think that now that they were basically wearing the same costume inwards. It's because
Yeah.
outer and inward is the same. So it's just a costume backwards, and it's showing all the linings, and it thinks it's more special, and
Yeah.
and um, and unfortunately, and this is, not unfortunately, it's just what's happening. Non-duality is seemingly thought of as spirituality, as something that is something with the
Yep.
source,
Mhm.
and 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 they don't like hearing this communication because they have come to a conclusion of what seems to happen, what seems to be their belief system. So when that belief system is challenged, it shrieks, you know what I'm saying, and it calls this pseudo or something, when what they're
Yeah.
talking about, um, it doesn't really make sense, because they're talking about non-separation, but there's a doer,
Yeah.
non-separation but there's free will,
I know.
non-separation
And
but
we
there's a
had
practice.
exactly. We had the discussion before, especially in India. You know, there is a lot of these guys who supposedly are teaching Advaita,
Yeah.
right? And they talk about all these, what you can do and how you can get there and stuff like that. And we had this discussion, like Advaita means not two. So who's doing? It's
Yeah,
funny.
it is, but it's the knowledge of not to is what's being applied.
Yeah, exactly.
So the knowledge is again, it's not knowing, right? Because who's to know if there's not to?
Yeah.
What is wisdom when it's not to? And it's this grandiose, you know what I'm saying, kind of like, grandiosity of spirituality. um all is, I am consciousness, I am that, and all of these grand statements, you know what I'm saying, that really really kind of like, I think I've said I am that, I don't know, like, millions of times, you know what I'm saying? Trying to make it into a mantra, reading it over and over again, and trying to understand it, and trying to emulate the sages and everything.
Hmm.
I think I've told this
Yeah.
before. I even post with like a little like, how will I look with this, little cloth, you know what I'm saying? If I travel there and I start, walking around with it, with this, that kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's not, it's just what's happening. But in the apparent, so time is an illusion. In time, there are findings in science, you know what I'm saying, that has progressed it a little bit. Like, for example, there was I think Copernicus or something, that the sun revolved around the earth, right? And there's this thing. And also in apparent theology, it has also progressed or whatever. It has progressed as Advaita, Vedanta or something. So now that there's this apparent progression, although there's no progression, everything is a story, right? That there's no doer. Instead of being embraced, it's like a whole bunch of people that still believes the sun revolves around the planet. That's what I'm kind of like, or can like still
Yeah.
believes, kind of like, this apparent character that even at the end of their apparent, lectures, that everything that they have stated is taken back, that this is just movement, that they never got into a location like that deathbed that I'm talking about. It
Hmm.
still recycles because a dead guru it becomes deity, right? So it becomes the scripture. um so it's like, yeah, it's like watching the History Channel for me when this is being discussed now about practices and everything. It's something archaic, you know what I'm saying? And or
Yeah.
when I kind of like talked about the highway, that everything is a highway. Everything in the highway to stop, and everything is liberation. So having someone with a outdated GPS that tries to find a location. Have you ever had kind of like one of those Garmin kind of like, GPS that you have not updated, and it keeps on going to this highway when everything changed already? And this is just a story because nothing changes. But in the apparent illusion that everything seems to be progressing, there is almost kind of like a fanatic of processes, a fanatic of practices, of religiosity and belief systems that are so archaic anymore. It's it's
Yeah.
it's 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 outdated is what I'm trying to say. Although this is just a story, and it keeps on going back and forth to that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's everywhere, actually. It's everywhere. I mean, look around you. It's everywhere. Religion is everywhere. Spirituality is everywhere. We are
yeah,
the extreme minority. But if you really look at it, at the core of it, there is separation. You see, somebody is missing something and trying to do something.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's always that way, though. It is as it is, right? And also there's no other. So this is just this beautiful narrative of this wowness, right? It appears as,
Yeah.
teachings, it appears as whatever, although none of it is real. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you. A loincloth and a baseball cap. What a picture ever.
You should do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sure. Someone actually Someone actually, it's, the messages that I get are usually really, really funny, because it's a comparison of different speakers and everything. Someone, I think I've mentioned this before, someone said, "Why do you wear a shirt?" It's hilarious. It's all costume.
I'll say one more thing while
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
some
sure.
silence.
Yeah.
When I left the monkhood / cult, and and I was like completely lost and felt, because my identity was gone. I
Yeah.
would imagine similar to yours as a teacher. I was like,
Yeah.
what am I now? I was
Yeah.
this noble seeking, you
Yeah.
know, gave up all the pleasures of the world,
I did
apparently.
that too.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so then I got into non-duality and Ramana and Nisargadatta, and I can remember going down to this canal in Seattle and reading like every little word of "I am that" and da da da
Yeah.
da. But even listening to you and Tej talk now, it's like even the phraseology behind "I am that"
Yeah.
it implies a duality,
It
and yet
is. Yeah.
it's weird. Like thinking about it now, it's like, of course
Yeah.
I never got it. Like, I
Yeah.
never got, of course it never landed, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
I am that. I mean,
It's
even
an
that phrase, which is so exalted and so revered in
it is. Yeah.
non-duality or spiritual,
It
I don't know.
is. It's and um yeah, it's the what's that and what's I am. It's just words. It's just words, and even the explanation that the I am disappears when you become that. But there's no union because it was never separated. So it's kind of like the idea of yoga, the union, I'm saying the consciousness and awareness kind of like, then you become God. And there's this prior to that, and then, prior to that, thinking and everything. But thinking is also it. It's not about getting rid of something when there's nothing that is not. It always is. It always is. It appears as whatever it is. Usually when I do a one-on-one, there's this flood of kind of like flood of a boomerang. Sometimes I call it a boomerang in back of this identity, right? What's wrong with that? There's nothing. It's also that identity. This also the grr, all of this kind of stuff that seems to appear is also the emptiness. It's also an illusion. So emptiness is illusion. Illusion is emptiness. It's the same thing. Nothing is everything. Everything is nothing. So it's just appearing as that. And when it's seen that it's always going to be this fluctuation, see the trouble that I got is when I got that apparent enlightenment that um is that I held on to that. I thought nothing can go wrong. My life is set. It's I got I'm done, right? This is I'm going to have this career, as an enlightened teacher or something. It's going to be forever now, and it's going to, and so when these shitty situations came, like for example, there was a my relationship was falling apart, and I said I'm spiritual. You know what? I'm choosing my spiritual path over my relationship. That kind of thing, rather than kind of like seeing what was really happening. That the relationship was ignored now, and it was just focused on self evolution, the self improvement that I was talking about in the last talk. That spirituality is just self improvement, enlightenment is just self improvement. Now I'm a no self. Now I'm a higher self. All that kind of stuff is just maintenance of that, right? So it thinks that nothing goes wrong anymore because it's the universe is taking care of me now. I'm an enlightened being. And then when my mom was falling apart, I'm like, how come I'm feeling all of these emotions? How come I feel like saying that this is not fair? How come I'm feeling a lot of sadness, and how come I really want to be with my mom, but I'm serving people right now. I have a divine purpose, so I should choose my purpose. Of course, that brought a lot of suffering. And then I had to present this image that nothing bothered me anymore. So what's being talked about is, if it appears as this is not fair, that's also what is. Or this is fucked, that's also what is. Whatever appears is as it is. And that's the and it's kind of funny because spirituality, or some advaita would call this bypassing. Actually, this is the fullness. This is the fullness. If my mom asked me to stay, and my dad asked me to stay and help, I'm like, yeah, for sure. It's not about, no, I'm in a spiritual path. You know what I'm saying? I have to serve people. It's not an identity anymore. There's no identity. It's just movement.
Yeah, like I was supposed to go back east to visit my parents, and I shared a little bit about my parents, and I just kind of was like a little bit uncomfortable going back there for different reasons. And now I feel like I'm actually really looking forward. There's just not the fear. There's not the. I mean, we'll see what it's like when I'm back there, but it's just,
if it's
there's an
awkward, it's awkward.
that,
you know what I'm saying? But there's an
right.
openness now, whatever it is, right? It's not avoidance anymore. It's not avoidance. I used to when they used to kind of like come visit my parents, I would cringe at the idea. But now there's just an acceptance of it. It's actually a rediscovery. Actually, it's a rediscovery of what.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Or for example, I was talking to a friend of mine about my dog passing, because they know that I was really close to my dog, and he was saying, how are you dealing now that you have a new puppy? Are you just replacing? I'm like, no, nothing was lost, nothing was gained. That's what I wanted to say. I just basically wanted to say, it's just as it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got a new puppy, so what? There's no story about that I'm replacing or whatever. It's just what is. There was grieving. There was this kind of like, my best friend died. You know what I'm saying? And I cried really, really loudly. And then the next day, there was this release. I'm like, okay, wow.
Well, and also for me, it's like some of the so-called healing work, let's just say, is like looking at the family disease or the family, whatever, like, and so in the story, it's like my mom this, and there's forgiveness that comes along the way in the story, and my dad this, but they're characters in my separate story. And now it's like, and you've said it so many times, like, there's no me, there's also no mom and dad as these separate, antagonistic characters that I have to forgive, because they wrong, it's like, it's all just fucking gone. It's just all just easy does it,
It's just easy does it. When I was away from my family, there was like a period, I think, of like 5 days that I did not think about my mom and my dad at all, and it petrified me. It petrified me because there's this grasping still, right? Your mom and dad disappears every night. And it just comes back. There's just this continuous. So there's this illusion, but it's not about denying. Right now, there's just this intimacy now, right? Because there's no character here that's trying to interpret or trying to add stories to what is. It's just what is. It doesn't try to second guess what they're thinking now, because it's just what is.
Right. Right. When I was thinking about something you had said, when I reconnected with them after 11 years, and I was still a monk at this point. I hadn't left the group, and but I remember going back home, and I was like, what are you guys doing? Why are you eating this cheap, like not organic this and that? You should be, you know, I was so judgmental and I was such a dick. And I know they were just like,
I was
like,
such a
what's
dick too.
happened to
Yeah.
you? Like,
I was such a dick too. I used to, you know what, because you know what, there was this pent up that I could not do anything for my mom, right? So I would go to the house and I threw all sugar, all things with artificial kind of like stuff, and funny enough, when I came back, no one touched what I bought them. I went to Costco. I bought like, I'm like, this is quinoa. This is, you know, chia seeds. This is, they're all organic. And I came back and I'm like, oh, no one opened them.
I'm unappreciated.
Yes.
My genius is unappreciated.
And then all of a sudden, this can like story can like comes, and it's just, I actually had a really proud moment with my mom a couple of weeks ago. She poured me a can of Coke Zero. I would have never allowed that before.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. I would have been freaking out, you know. Or you know, the books. It's kind of funny. I've given my dad so many books. It must be so insulting, right? The books that there was a book from Wayne Dwyer. There was a book from Michael Singer. All of this stuff, Unfetter Your Soul. All of this, you know, stuff that I've given him, and I just saw that he never opened any of them. It's just this trying to fix things always. You know, my brothers, my sister, my friends. My friend makes fun of me now, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, she always kind of like said, I'm meditating, Emerson, I'm meditating. I'm like, were you meditating? He goes, no, I was just lying, you know what I'm saying? Because she would never stop about meditation. It was always like, are you meditating? Are you taking 5 minutes of your day to just go into silence? You know, because I was convincing them of the state that I'm in, that I'm in a happy place. But really, I was so miserable. It was just it was just quite difficult. Kind of like what you were sharing before of that monkhood, right? It was just a lot of fears.
Oh God, endless. And it just, you could never do it right, you know?
Yeah.
But not realizing that it's because the you is the illusion, you know, or at least a linchpin for me. But also, and I'll wrap it up here. But
No,
the
keep on.
other
It's
thing
okay.
I was thinking was, oh God, I was just, I don't know. We'll see if it comes back. But,
All right.
anyway, it's great. Yeah, thanks, Emerson.
Thank you. Patrice goes, my dad was such a good sport downing wheatgrass I grew. You know what? Oddly enough, I still love a lot of vegan stuff. You know, if put me in a vegan, because it's you know, it's just delicious sometimes. But and oddly enough, I still like wheatgrass.
Here,
Hassan?
I got it.
Yo, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'll just wrap. Well, because I don't know if this is, but the last thing I'll say is that, you know, I was in Al-Anon for a long time, right? Which is like to help with, and so much of that is teaching like detachment with love and and a lot of letting go and not controlling came from that, which was so beautiful. But this is so much. This is like the finality of it, because there's still somebody who I'm not controlling, or there's still somebody there that I'm loving with I'm still detaching from and not trying, you know what I mean? And this is just like, it's all just like, you know,
it's
because there's just nothing to do. And so it's like, there's nothing to detach, you know, there's just no. So anyway, sorry.
There's nothing
guys.
to
Please,
negate.
on.
Oh, no. It's just what is, right? There's just, okay. Yeah. It's like, you know, the control freak, the manipulator became chill all of a sudden. It's like, okay. Yeah. There's this SNL skit that I like with Pete Davidson. You know, he's just this teenager. What?
Yeah.
There's like
he doesn't give a shit.
You see that one? It's like and he's put in different situations, right? And he's just like, it's like playing his video game, right? It's just Generation nothing.
Yeah, has it all figured out. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Hassan. Hey, Hassan.
Hi, Emerson.
Hi.
Nice to
How are
talk.
you?
Nice to be here.
Yeah. It's awesome that you're here.
I've been well. Let me just try to get my video on. Yeah, cheers. It's a really different time zone for me, so
What time is it there?
I try my best to make it to these.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
It's
Thank you.
currently 1:30 a.m.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and for context, I'm a bit upset that I'm having to do some work on a Saturday, but but I can be on this call too.
Oh,
So
no
even
worries. Yeah.
okay, I'm having trouble opening my video, so I'll just proceed with
Oh,
my
there it is.
question, which I
There it
think
is.
has been asked
I
before,
see you now.
for sure. Hey,
Hey.
great, great. Um, so the question boils down to this like unknowableness,
Yeah.
and uncertainty,
Yeah.
uh, right? And it's like the unknowableness also extends to like I have a hard time saying that, or saying the statement like there is nothing, or even that there are no others or
Yeah.
anything. Like these things are apparent, and like it is obvious that
Yeah.
there is no proof for separation or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's just I watched also Robert Saltzman and Jim, and he was making this same point, which um, there could very well be a self, but I have no way of knowing it, kind of. And then Jim was
Yeah.
like, yeah, like if there's a self that doesn't know itself, I think that's radically different than there being no self. you know
Yes. Yeah.
Jim has said this, so it
Yeah.
seems like there's like a confusion, that
Yeah.
there's
So
unknowableness even when it comes to this I. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's
for
the
sure.
question.
See, kind of like what I was
Yeah.
kind of like opening, that there's really no finality to this, right? There's no location or something. So saying that
Mm,
there is a self or there's a no self is seemingly like a position. So there's both
mm,
self and no self appearing simultaneously, understanding and not really being understood. It's the how do I say it? It's the only thing that there's this certainty here, you know what I'm saying, is when the apparent self or the apparent character Emerson was seen through as unreal. Everything that it sees, everything that it feels, everything that it understands is also unreal, but it feels absolutely real. Does that make any sense?
mm,
So when there's a collapse of the
mm,
knower, everything that it knows is unknown. Everything that it thinks is true is not true, or not true or false. It's just what
mm,
is. So there's now no understanding here now. There's just this immediacy that seems to be happening. So this is stillness. So what collapse was this appearance that there is this location, a located Emerson, a sense
mm.
of separation. So that sense, that belief, that understanding, that conviction that I am here collapsed.
Okay.
It's the absence of that, right? So the absence of that, kind of like what I was saying, there's no me and there's no me. It's just what is. But for the purpose of using language, you know what I'm saying, because it can only be expressed through language, there's going to be an expression that there's no one here. It can be corrected by saying that there's a felt sense of someone here, but there's also this undeniability that there's no one here.
Mm,
For example, if I walk around, there's gravity, there's this floor hitting my heel, my feet. If I hold this cup, there's this felt sense that this is here. But also, what seems to appear is that there is this certainty. This certainty is a movement. It's uncertain. Does that
mm,
make any sense? Kind of like it changes, right? Because when I go to sleep, there's no body. When there's an enjoyment, when I'm DJing, where's Emerson? There's no body. There's no, and then when it's swimming or running or whatever, right? There's this collapse of the thinker. Everything that it knows is not valid. Kind of like what the scientists are kind of like trying to figure out, right? There's no source, there's no particle. Everything is in a process or a movement or dynamicness. So no one can really know for certain of what it is because there's no one here. There's this felt sense of realness, kind of like Hassan moves through time and space, you know, eating, you know, dancing and everything. But that felt sense of realness is temporary. It's not permanent. The only thing that's permanent is this appearance of the my dog is crying. I'll let it in just a second, okay? Sorry.
Please take your time.
So there's this, it's just all kind of like what I was saying. This is just the stillness in motion. There's this stillness in motion. Whatever's in motion is an illusion. Anything that's inging, drinking, singing, talking, laughing, living, breathing, is an illusion. When the apparent character goes to deep sleep, none of that is happening. There's no sense of breathing. There's no sense of existing. There's no sense at all. So all senses disappears seemingly when there's a, or even when you black out enough, you've gone drinking before and you blacked out completely and you don't even know what's happening. This is blackout.
You know, Emerson, there's a lot there that you said, and you see, I'm smiling because I love this message. You know, I really do love this message. But yeah, and like this, also not conviction. I guess the obviousness that, you know, the separate sense of self is phony, right? And that's something I have had a glimpse of, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, and there's a love for somehow, some way. Maybe it's fear and love. You know, there's just something there. You know,
Yeah.
there's gravity.
You probably missed
Yeah.
the other talk, but I talked about the glimpse. So I'll repeat it, for, you know, since you missed it. So the apparent, so seemingly what seems to be happening is the glimpse, the glimpser, meaning you, is the glimpse.
Yeah.
You are the
Yeah.
one that's not really here. And this is always a glance of eternity. And there's a glimpser, and then it interprets what eternity is or what infinite is by making it into a story that there's no one here. But really, any stories that's created is just a guess, an approximation of what's happening when there's really just this that cannot really be talked about.
But ultimately, this isn't like a statement, right?
No, no.
Because it seems like you know, to folks like Robert, this is coming off like
I think I
you know,
cringed the whole way with that conversation. I was talking to Jim before. I'm
it's
like,
weird.
how
Yeah,
are you doing this? Yeah,
it kind of threw me off. Yeah, it kind of threw me off. I was like, what is?
yeah.
But
It's like two different
you know,
languages. It's
yeah,
like there's this someone that
yeah.
has arrived at something, that someone that basically declares that I am awake, like Ramana or whatever, which is the Robert Kinlack statement. It's just what's happening. And then there's Jim, you know what I'm saying, that is just that there's no one here. So someone has arrived and someone is not there. Someone has the
Yeah,
truth and
both.
someone
Or,
someone is, it's a complete, you know, it's a complete mismatch, right? Because and it's kind of when someone takes a position, when someone has a certainty, then they're fucked basically. Because what they have basically is a position, and it's a defense of that position. What's being expressed here is this, that everything is just this illusion, including positions. There's nothing wrong or right about positions, but when there's this absence of a destination or location that I've arrived, then there's just this openness. So might as well call this communication just openness. There's just this openness because there's no one here that has any position. That doesn't have a, this is not a lineage. There's no authority to
Yeah.
this, right? There's just this. It's like an honest admission that there's nothing that's needed. It's an honest admission that there's nothing that's needed to learn. That no one arrived at anything. That there's no enlightened beings because there's no one here at all. Although a lot of kind of like a lot of this teachers would say that there's no self and everything, but somehow they have been enlightened. It's a contradiction that someone I'm awake, although there's no one
Yeah.
here. I'm awake and you're not. Let me teach you the way how to get here. And it's just what's happening. There's just this it's going to be an ongoing kind of like debate about this and that. But what seems to appear, and this is just kind of like, I don't know if you notice it, that there's going to be discussion. Jim doesn't enter those discussions or debates. There's just this laughing. And then when I was talking to him about it, it's because Robert was doing a lot of kind of like I think he posted like 20 times after that conversation, kind of like citing that conversation, and there was radio silence from Jim, and he goes, "It's kind of like an unrequited lover." That's ignored. Just keeps on making all of this statements because what he perceives that this is reality, that he is real, that there is this arrival, that he is awake. So there's a defense of that. It's kind of like what's being suggested here, that I talked to this, I'm not going to mention the speaker, this other speaker. I just see it as a play. It's like a playground, and they're trying to throw. There's just someone that forgot to laugh. This is laughing here. It's seen as a play.
Yeah.
It's seen as a joke. Yeah.
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 You know,
But
this
there's
is
nothing
it.
wrong
This
or
is it.
right. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that there is this contradiction, but it's being masked as uncertain. Like, we can't know that this sense of I is legit, but we're gonna play along with it.
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna fully embody it. I feel like this is, whereas that's a contradiction.
Yeah. What I
Okay.
appreciate about this communication is this character, although I'm saying it has believed a lot of BS, what I'm saying, there's a bullshit detector that seems to kind of like, it goes deep dive into like all of these practices, and I was even teaching it, but there's a seeing through, I'm like, there's something smelly about this, and with this communication, I could not find any holes in it. It's just the suspension of every single digging and everything that I would try to kind of like do it, because I've been on the other side. I've been on the spiritual side. I've been on that side of 10,000 things. That this is from the knowing part, from all of the sages and everything. I believed, I've read all of that. So there's this kind of like, okay, there's this again, and this just put it this way, and this is just a story as well, right? A lot of these apparent teachers are all talks about whatever. But I just I'm sick and tired of seeking that. I wanted some freaking results. I wanted some proof, what I'm saying. So when I found out that there's this Tony Parsons, I first read the book called there's this book called I Hope You Die Soon, which is by Richard Sylvester. And it really, really intrigued me. And in the book, the premise of the book is Tony Parsons basically, Richard Sylvester was a seeker like this character that was very intense, that was very neurotic about seeking, that it was a career. So he asked a whole bunch of really silly questions, like, kind of like, because he was in spirituality for a long, long time. So Tony Parsons kind of like hugged him and basically said, I hope you die soon. And then I discovered that Tony Parsons had, Jim Newman and Kenneth and all of this, Andreas and all of these people. I'm like, wait a second. And although, Tony never did anything because there's no Tony, there was this speakers that were speaking about the similar thing. And it's not really, there's no contradictory there. So I was listening to it, and I had a glimpse, and I was like, wait a second here. This is scary as hell. because all my belief system are being challenged here, and it's like it's a loss. So when there are teachers, and you know what, and you know, there's nothing wrong or right about teachers, even teachers that professes they're not teachers, when it comes from a knowing, or when it becomes kind of like a knowing from a whole bunch of different sages, and it's just the culmination of that knowledge, there's a lot of holes in it. There's a lot of contradictions of what's being said. Although everything is a contradiction, it's just the resonance with this communication was just so strong that it it basically it killed the seeker, that seeking energy.
Mm. You've
Although
put
there
it
was no seeker.
beautifully.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you,
yeah,
Hassan.
thank you.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I feel the same way. And thank you very much, Emerson.
Thank you,
Thank
Hassan. Too bad that you're working on Saturdays, but tomorrow hopefully.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Forrest. Hey.
Hey, Emerson.
Hi.
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 So yeah, uh, I didn't attend Tony Parsons' meeting today.
Oh
I
no.
forgot the time. Yeah, but I made it up by watching Jim Newman's YouTube videos
Oh, okay.
for 20 minutes. Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm feeling good.
Oh,
I'm
good, good,
okay.
good, good.
Yeah,
How's school?
I was about to. Uh, right now is not loaded with assignments,
Yeah, it's just the
so it's
beginning,
okay.
right?
Yeah. So I kind of have a glimpse,
Yeah.
should I say a glimpse, that there's no one watching. There's no
Yes.
one,
Yeah.
there's no, just seeing happening.
It is. There's no one behind the seeing actually. There's no seers, just
Yeah.
seeing happening. Like what's happening now, apparently.
Mm.
There's just this seeing. So when there's no thought process, you know what I'm saying? When there's it's not about getting rid of thoughts, it's just this apparent, this directness of what's happening. There's just this appearance of a square, and that's saying too much already.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like a dream to me. There's no, it's just like a dream character. When I was in a dream, there's no one, the dream character is seemingly doing a lot of things, but there's no one behind it. There's no one controlling it. It feels like a dream character to me
It
right now.
is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
But there's nothing outside this dream.
No. No.
Yeah, yeah,
This is the entirety of the dream apparently.
yeah.
Also no dream at the same time. There's no dreamer. It's just a dream.
Mm.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, so this is like a story, but it happens, it's telling to no one.
Exactly, yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so random.
Yes.
Yes, very random.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to lie to myself, It's just like I can almost recite everything that's non-duality speaker talking about,
Yeah. 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 Well,
Yeah.
there's no one doing that anyway. It's just what's happening.
Mhm.
And there's no non-duality speakers.
Mm. Yeah.
It's just what is.
Mm. Okay.
All right. Call me sometime.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, no
right.
problem.
All right. Just in case my light comes crashing, my apparent puppy is terrorizing the place right now because there's no one saying no. It escaped my brother's supervision again. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, yeah,
Hey.
I just have to comment. Wow, that Forrest just put it so succinctly.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. Blew my
Yeah.
mind. Really. Yeah, you have a dream and you're doing all this crap in your dream. It's the same thing. Wow,
Yeah.
that was tremendous, Forrest. Out of the mouths of babes. Loved it. Oh, loved it. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, first. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. That was great. That was great. She likes it too.
Yes. She wants attention right now. Just a second. Okay, I'm just going to give her to my brother because she's going to start running back and forth and terrorizing the light. Come on, puppy, puppy. Sorry about that. Hi, Emerson. You seem to have a preference with the uncompromising radical speakers. Why is that? They're just like friends. I talk to them. They're just like friends. There's no specialness there whatsoever, and yeah, they're just really cool. I did talk to some of the teachers, and I like some of them too. I don't might not agree with what they say, but yeah. But with the apparent, characters like Jim, Tony, Kenneth, um, I hosted them for quite a while. You know what I'm saying? For about a year, 2 years. I'm not really sure. And there's just this easiness. There's just this easiness. It's like working with air. And it's just the resonance with those characters are. We don't talk about non-duality. What do you think of Robert Saltzman now that it's been opened up? I don't think about him at all. It's just what is. He was nice to me. That's it. Hi, Richard.
Hey, Emerson.
Hi.
I, when I listen to you and, other speakers that have been mentioned, I get this sort of momentum where, you start talking and I think, oh, yeah, I get that. And then you say something else. Oh, yeah, I get that. Then I get that. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then all of a sudden, everything crashes, because I don't get nothing.
Yeah.
And things just dissolve, And then I think, oh, fuck it, this is just too hard, I don't.
Yeah. That's what I
I don't
thought too,
know.
Richard. That's what I thought. It was too hard. I will never get this. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, then I throw it away for a few days, and inevitably, you come back and go through that cycle again where there just seems to be this momentum build where you're trying to figure it, and then bang, it just
Bang. Yeah.
collapses.
Crashes. Yeah. Because there's nothing to get.
Yeah.
There's nothing to get. And even when that's being mentioned, like, how do I get nothing to get?
Mm.
And it's this kind of like, or the question that I love the most is like, I know there's no one there, but how did you get there?
Yeah.
So what's being expressed here is just this immediacy, this blue shirt, this blue sweater, this yellow hand appearing, these glasses, um, this appearance, this picture, this moving picture, this moving stillness, this sound coming. And there's nothing to figure out because this is it. This is what is being longed for. It's this appearance that's appearing. But there's going to be this narrator that will say, I don't get it. So that's the illusion. But it's also empty illusion. It doesn't have any meaning or purpose. It's not trying to get anywhere. It's just this appearance of this narrative, this narrator, this identity. It's an appearance. This identity called Richard that tries to get it, that tries to get this momentum, and it crashes. That's the ebbing and flowing, the up and down. But that's also stillness. That's the moving stillness that I'm talking about. So what it seems to be looking for is already present. It can never leave. It's the absence and the fullness all at once. So the emptiness where all of this arises, all of these questions arises from, is what is. And I talk about this all the time. When there was this dropping, or the one that's trying to understand, when it's seen that that's emptiness as well, I listened back to this, to this kind of meetings, and because I was kind of like, I can never get it, and I was laughing for quite a while, laughing and crying because it's so simple. What's being expressed here is not a riddle. It's actually as simple as possible. So when it's being expressed that this is all emptiness, what's appearing is emptiness, but it's appearing as this. What's appearing is this. So whatever appears, for example, when you say, I'm trying to get it, but I get it, that's emptiness. When you, any thought that comes is emptiness appearing as whatever. I'm just using words, but there's no words to this. This is just the immediacy, the directness of this, and there's nothing to figure out. And then, although
Yeah,
there's a trying to figure it out, that's also emptiness. Sorry, go ahead, Richard.
you just use that word immediacy, and
Yeah. In the
and,
directness. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's just right, immediate. Is
Yes.
that, like,
yeah.
this is all there is immediate.
Yes.
Right in front of you.
Yes. You can't miss it.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We'll work with that.
Okay. It's always, it can never leave. It's always, it's in everything. It's in the vision, it's in the taste and everything. Although everything is an illusion, everything is also emptiness. So what seems to be sought for, what you're looking for, is always missed because it appears in everything. It appears in every single thought, in every single feeling, in every single blinking of the eye. It's every single thing. And everything is a no thing. Everything is emptiness. So you're looking for emptiness and it's staring back at you. It's looking and staring. It's seeing, it's blinking its eyes. It's all this. It can't be missed.
I like it. It's good.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Richard. Thank you. Hey, Kelly. Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
I feel really stupid asking this question.
Oh, no. No. Go ahead.
How would I know if I have a glimpse?
In a story form, the glimpse is seeing that there's just this kind of like a, there's no you that has a glimpse actually, you know what I'm saying? But in the story, there's this, there's almost kind of like a suspension of all ideas and belief, and it's just this openness. This is a glimpse.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have
You will
another
never
question.
know. What's that? Go ahead. Another question.
Yeah. Is your dog an illusion? Is your
Everything
puppy
is,
an illusion?
yeah. Everything is, yeah.
Okay.
Illusions appear absolutely real. It feels real. It poops. It licks. It barks. It sings.
Okay.
It talks. It's like a, it's kind of like, let me give you an example of what an illusion is. This is just a story as well. It's kind of like when you're dreaming at night. Everything that you're dreaming about feels absolutely real. The moment that you wake up, that split second, all of that, everything that you thought was real, it's like a dream, or it's like an illusion. It's not real at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. Like this.
See?
This feels absolutely real. Apparently, and there's no future. Apparently, in the future, you'll be like, you will not even be able to remember all of this.
Right.
Because it's an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will appear as a memory, appears like, did I really talk to Emerson? No. There's no one here talking to you. Yeah.
I don't know what I believe anymore.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's the same thing here when I was listening to this, because I was full of beliefs. I didn't even know that I was full of it.
Yeah. Right.
I was so full of it that I was contradicting myself all the time. I'm like, well, this is what I believe. This is what's absolutely true for me. That kind of thing. That there is something other than this. Or that fate, you know what I'm saying? Or that hope was just that belief. That I am here, that there's someone special here. So when that collapsed, it was almost kind of like, oh, damn it. because you hold on to that. So when you say I don't even know what to believe, because it's this communication is almost kind of like it's it's like an interrogation.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it's like, you know, when there's kind of like this kind of like owning up to it, like, "Yeah, well, yeah, I think that, you know, I'm still here," and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not really sure.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's really, I think who knows, the bad parts, the horrifying part, it's over, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's usually the scary part is that kind of like the shrieking, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like they're like, no, that loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden everything is just, it's just this.
Yeah.
The glimpser is dead.
Okay.
Okay.
So you said the glimpse was the
The glimpse,
character?
the glimpse, the glimpse, the one that has the glimpse is the glimpse, is the illusion. You're the glimpse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're the glimpse.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, because
Thank
it's
you.
always this way. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Hi, Emerson. Please don't mention my name, but I feel like I'm on acid right now. Kelly?
I just had my thumb up.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were trying to.
No.
It's like acid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone, the person said, "Is the whole tripping? Is the whole room tripping, or is it just me?" It's always just tripping when there's no you. Did you slip some acids in the email? Yep. Just kidding, no. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, I should put the lights on. It's so dark in here. Just to go again anyway, you know. It's just funny because yeah, like it's like, you know, what Forrest had said about the dream like really hit me because like, wow, yeah, who's directing all that and doing all that? But you know, again, the conditioning of the society, we were meant to, like, there's all kinds of dream therapy going on and Jungian analysis, and for the dream was like you got to work out your shit through the dream, with certain analysts, and it was always like, this kind of a cognition, mental kind of thing that we were taught to, work through oh, you have a problem. You know what? Think about it and, dream about it. I mean, I didn't go to any Jungian analyst, but I'm just saying from what I've read, it was always like this mystical work through it. The dream is the answer. It was like, I mean, it ruled your life. And it's funny because when I spoke to Tony today, I had to bring up the rainbows because the rainbows are very exciting.
Yeah.
In this character.
Yes. How did he respond?
He said it's just he said it's just somebody like looking for signs.
Yeah. It's superstition.
And excuse me?
It's like superstition, looking for some signs.
And I was like, oh, well, I'm not looking for a sign. There's I don't know how many billion people saw the same goddamn sign. And then whatever happened, I had to do some stuff and whatever. And then I found a little rock on the ground next to me. And it had the letter A on it. I said, oh, what does this mean? I've got to meet, and then I was like, holy crap. You're in the same freaking ballpark you've always been in, you can't get out of it because the me is always like,
it's very persistent. It looks for signs. Yeah. It looks for, it's a maintenance. It's a maintenance.
Yeah. It's like, it's so persistent, pervasive.
It is.
Yeah. You just can't like throw it away so fast.
No.
If you know what I mean. Yeah.
So what? Yeah. So what when there's
so what? Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. It's always going to be that way. It's going to be rainbows and rocks and shit.
That's it. Picking up the rock. Whatever. Yeah.
I used to do that too. I was so obsessed with the signs that, I'm like, oh, I missed 11:11. So I'm like waiting for the sign to happen. I'm like, it's 11:10. So 11:11 is going to come soon and I'm going to see the sign, or the 3:33, it's kind of like, it's almost kind of like, I'm like, keep on looking at my watch, kind of like, when are my angels going to kind of like remind me that it's 11:11?
Yeah.
And it's almost always this kind of like reminders. I want some reminder that there's this angels,
something.
that there's something, that there's special.
There's something. There's something. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Keep wanting.
It's all
something.
nothing. Yeah. And I was just kind of like I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm just like my dad, because my dad has these superstitions, but it just appears as like angels or all this kind of stuff, or synchronicities and rainbows and all this. But there's nothing wrong with that too.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
What is. It's fun. but when it's seen that it's just kind of like
A+ today on the rock. I said, oh, good.
Did you leave your intention with the rock? You know what I'm saying?
But I have it on the windowsill, so it's not going anywhere. But nobody will understand what the heck you're talking about. But anyway, it's just like, it's fun, It's just funny.
Yeah. It's just the Wonderland, right? It's just the Oz.
Yeah.
It's like the Yeah, it's just
all
an
it
appearance.
is. Yeah. Just an appearance, yeah. Just let it ride on the waves,
It's just what it is. Yeah, it's just an appearance. It's just signs. So what? It's just when there's the seriousness is gone, right? Because it becomes a story. For example, when I would be waiting for that 11:11 to come, and I'm like, okay, that's my sign that I'm on the right path.
Yeah. No, listen, hey, I didn't realize how intense it was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it's really kind of very, I don't know. It's like
It's a very persistent illusion, right? And it will keep a maintenance, not just you. Now it's about the queen. You know what I'm saying?
The maintenance is it's very pervasive, and it's very it's throughout. Yeah,
it's very
throughout.
consistent.
You don't
too.
recognize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't recognize it even, that what you're doing. I had no idea you're doing this all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Scary.
What's the definition of insanity?
Yeah, keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Hello. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You
But you
said
don't
it.
know you're doing it. See, you don't even know you're doing it. You don't even know. It's
Yeah.
funny because, I used to say, at my age, a lot of
Because you're
people
not
are
doing
dead.
it.
Now, when I have a dream, occasionally I might dream about my mother who passed or grandma, whatever. Sometimes things happen. And then I'd say, well, I don't see them in the day-to-day life.
Mm.
But then I'd say, oh, a smell would go by, like a woman's perfume. I'd say, oh, that's Nanny. Or a certain person would be smoking a cigar. I'd go, that's Uncle, that's Uncle Is. So you were all the time, I was all the time thinking that these spirits were around me. Yeah. I'd say they didn't, yeah.
I have a really, really funny story about that. So there's this it's a friend that had a grandson, right, that about Nanny. So they would go to the cemetery, right, and they'll say, oh, that butterfly is your nanny, it's your nanny. So one day the boy kind of like trapped the butterfly in a jar. Of course the butterfly died. So she goes, oh, I killed Nanny's spirit. It's in this butterfly.
Oh.
But it was just trying to capture the
see,
story about
how
this butterfly appearing as Nanny, right?
Yeah, that's how the distortion happens.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah, maybe somebody said that to me. I don't know, who knows? But it's just like the same thing, that the rainbows mean something. Or the A+ on the rock. Yeah. It's just all
it's a distortion.
What do you call it?
It's just a distortion of clarity.
Yeah, it's like fantastical stuff or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what a friend of mine, her therapist called it magical thinking.
That's what it is. Yeah.
He said you're engaging in magical thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was, but
and it goes it goes just down the rabbit hole sometimes, right? This magical thinking becomes, all of a sudden it's about ascended masters. It becomes channeling. It becomes it just goes on and on and on, and there's going to be a great awakening, and I am the one that's going to lead. I was watching this show about this mom that believes that she came from the Mormon church and everything, right? It's like, I can't remember the title, but there's this belief that she is a chosen one or something, and she ends up killing her children. Yeah. So again, it just goes into this, that it's the end of days.
It can go to any extreme, any extreme in the magical.
So there's this thinking that she's a prophet, or she was with a prophet and everything. So, it just goes into this deep madness. It's just madness and madness, but it is what it is. It's just it's
it's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Monique. Hey.
Hey, had to turn on mic. Well, it's funny you guys were talking about like the magical thinking and stuff. I have a friend of mine who told me a story that, and I mean, it's just a story, but had me scratching my head, because years ago when her little boy was 2 or 3 years old, his father's mother had died, right, when he was like a year. So he didn't remember her. But when he was about 2.5, 3, and I mean, she lived far away, so it wasn't like she had a lot of interactions with this child. But this weird story my friend told me was that one day they were looking through a photo album. Well, let me backpedal a little. The little boy kept telling his mom that at night a lady would come and visit him in his room, right? And he was telling my friend that, like, at night, this lady would come and talk to him at night. And my friend was like, oh, he's, he's, almost 3, whatever. He's got an imaginary friend or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're looking through the photo album, and he
Yeah.
points to the dead grandma and says, "That's the lady that coming to visit." I was like, "That's interesting."
Yeah.
But it's just a story. Like anything can happen. But I just thought that was kind of like,
Oh yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah. It's just what is. It's
Yeah.
just what is. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I still think, how did he know?
Thank you for sharing that. That's funny. Hey, Susie.
Hey, Emerson.
Hey.
Hi. I think it's funny, the whole spirituality kind of, I don't know, just it's just a story, but it's funny. It's just like it offers hope.
That's what
hope
it is. Yeah.
And it's just a promise of something to be different. And this is hopeless. This is hopeless because it's not like you get a say in this shit,
Yeah.
It's just appearing and that's everything. And it's like there's just this contentment, and like I just can't find words at the moment, really. And to be honest with you, like yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
it is. It is
Yeah.
beautiful. It is
Yeah.
absolutely stunning.
The kind of like,
Thank you so much. Thank you for this weekend. It's been, I'm a little bit confused because there just is no time at all here at all. I mean, so are we in our second day or our third day?
Second day.
Are we the third? Okay. All right. Hilarious.
You got me stumped there
Okey-dokey.
as well. I'm like, is this the last one? It's so much
thanks,
fun. This
Emerson.
is
Thank you
always
so
so much
much.
fun. It is.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. It's just ordinary. But yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Kathy.
Yeah, I was going to say second day here, third day in Australia, Susie. Come on, get your shit together, Emerson.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know time. Do you know time?
No, but what I wanted to say, what Monique was talking about earlier, was also the way that how do I explain it? Like reincarnation was solidified. Because there'd be stories like about like a little boy, he would be like, whatever, 4 years old. So, and he, it like maybe a couple of years back, and he would describe in exact detail what a World War II fighter jet like, or, some, little child, describing exactly what happened, at some war or whatever, whatever, just like that little boy recognized the grandma, it really solidified reincarnation for me. Yeah.
I have this story when I was a kid, there was one day we were quite young, and all of a sudden, I was with my cousins and everyone, and all of a sudden we had, our older cousins babysitting us, the adults had to leave or something. And then when they came back, they were like, we have some sad news for you guys. Your great uncle passed away. We were like, he was just playing with us. And then later on, so we got really scared, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, where did that story originate? And then my uncle said, we just said that to scare you guys. So for quite a while, we're believing that the ghost of my great uncle came back and played with us. We don't have any.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a voodoo trick.
It was because for
that was really.
And then they would say that, you know, your great uncle might come back if you guys don't behave. So it was almost like a scare thing. It's like a little kid's
that's
tale, a
scary
ghost
for
story to
sure.
scare the kid, because we'll be like, what? Right? So it was just this
That
story.
explains
So
why you're
everything is
like
a
you
story.
are. Keep waiting for great uncle to come back. And he never returned.
Never returned. Yeah, it was just, but yeah,
Wow.
it's all a
Scary.
story. It's all a story. Everything is.
Yeah, I
So
know.
when it's see that everything is a story, because, you know, like I would get really mesmerized with stories about reincarnation before, right? And I would
Yeah.
try. Of course, it becomes the me story now. I'm like, who was I before? You know how many Cleopatras came back? You know what I'm saying? In this,
How
you
many
know how
past
many
life
reincarnated
regressions have you
Cleopatras
had?
are there? I can't count. I'm like, who's Cleopatra now? You know, there's this seemingly all this Cleopatra, or it's always someone really grand. You know, someone that reincarnated. You know, some channeler will be like, I used to be Cleopatra. I'm like, are you Cleopatra the second or the third or the fourth? You know, there seems to be thousands of Cleopatras that have reincarnated. But no
Yeah.
one seems to reincarnate from just an ordinary person. It's always someone grand.
Well, no, you know, your fears were attributed to something that happened in the past. I have a fear of heights. And somebody, you know, some therapist, yeah, you know, you were on a mountain pass on your horse going along. It was narrow. The rocks slipped. You tumbled down 1,800 feet. That's why you're afraid of heights. I said, oh, well, that explains
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. It's all a
You know,
story.
you just
Yeah,
bought those stories, like
yeah.
ate them up like
Of course, yeah, of course.
pancakes.
Of course, because you know, there's realness in this story, because everything
Yeah.
seems real. So even stories, kind of like when that story is told to us as little kids, we really believed it. So we would get scared. They're like, your uncle, great uncle, might come back to see you guys. Of course, we're like, okay, we're gonna sleep right now. So all of this tactic.
What happened when he walked into the house?
Oh, it was
Did you
just a
all
story.
start screaming?
No, no, it was just a story. It was just something that they created to scare us little kids. None of that really happened.
Oh, there was no great uncle that left.
No, no, no. It was just a story. It was just a scare
Oh,
tactic from the adults to scare the
there
kids.
was. They must have really put some nasty stuff
Oh
around
yeah,
that
yeah,
man.
yeah. Oh yeah.
He must have been like, he has whips
Because
and chains.
that's a great story, because it came from you guys. You're like, oh, we don't remember that.
Yeah, the
That kind of
truth
thing.
from the truth speakers. Yeah,
Yeah,
they speak
yeah,
the truth, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
parents. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Wow,
see that,
that's cool.
and I
Yeah.
see that with my friends and everything. I'm like, they're like, oh, you know, they create these ghost stories when you're kids, you know, to kind of like, you go to
Yeah.
sleep right now because the ghost might come back to haunt you. They're like, okay, and all of a sudden the kids go to sleep, or, you know, there's a
Yeah.
monster under the bed. So it's all created.
It's a
All of
bar-
these are suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny now. It's funny now. But when
Yeah.
I was a kid, you know, they're like my little brothers, I'm like, did great grandpa visit you too? And they're like, I don't remember, you know. But all of this, it's just a suggestive storytelling. It's kind of like, it's the same story as, like, you know, sages and everything. There's this deification of all the sages, and they'll be like, did you know that when he left the room there was this pulsating light, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and it becomes it becomes, although none of that happened, because it's just a story. Everything is a story.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
this
you just
special
buy
story
in.
now, that can your sage glow in light, you know? I'm like, yeah, if I were neon, kind of like, you know, um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's all a
The
story.
me just eats it all up.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
Eats
yeah,
it all
yeah.
up. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my sage is better than yours. That's why there's going to be a lot, you know.
Yeah.
The moment that someone's talked about, there's always going to be, well, you know what, I'm devoted to the stage and everything. But yeah, it's just devoted to a story. There's nothing wrong or right about that. It's
Yeah.
just what is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay though. It's
It's
nothing
all
wrong or right.
right.
It's
Yeah.
still,
So what?
still nothing. Still nothing. No.
Yeah.
And whatever. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. I love it. Great. Thank you, Emerson.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Jonathan, hey.
Just oh, just listening to you guys just now reminded me of you know, my guru for so many years, for 15 years.
Wow,
You know,
15 years.
one thing, yeah.
That's longer than a
But
marriage.
Hopefully not in my case. I'm a happily married man, but you
Than
never
my
know.
apparent marriage
But-
anyway, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. But man, thinking about you guys talking about reincarnation, that was the thing. Reincarnation, he would say, you know, it would be like, so we would call enlightenment or the falling away, whatever, God realization, right?
Yeah.
So, but that is something that comes after many incarnations of spiritual. So don't even expect to get it in this lifetime.
Yes.
You know, in some future lifetime, you can wake up or, you know, get which is the most brilliant marketing tactic, because it's like, it's not that the teaching isn't working, you know, or that the teachers are fraud, or that it's not even possible. You know what I mean? You just have to keep.
I must have.
And so you had said, lastly, you had said, like, at some point, like, the proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? And you saw Tony, and you saw apparent others having this, right? And even for me, just in the short few weeks, month, you know, I saw Ari being all like, I don't need this anymore. Oh my God. And Susie smiling, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like, the proof. You know? It's the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. You know,
it is. There's just this there's contentment. You know what I'm saying? And it's unshakable contentment that it doesn't really need anything. And when I was doing this kind of stuff, you know, and I'm like, oh, maybe I was just in the first stage of, you know, when the enlightenment seemingly happened 15 years ago. Like, maybe I need the final step. There's no steps to this. There's no steps to this. There's no, there's no before or after. It's always this.
And if there's one step, there's an infinite number of steps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there's even just one step, it's one step too many. You know what I mean?
It is. Or kind of like, I would be waiting. I'm like, oh, God, please take the last step for me, because that's what's mentioned. God will take the last step. And I'm like, when
or
am
the
I going
guru will take the last step for you.
The guru will
you
take
know,
the last step
even,
for you.
Even worse, you know.
It's
because then it's, oh, guru, please, what do I have to do?
Please take the last step, and the guru will say something. Well, not yet. You're not quite ready yet. Maybe next lifetime. You're like, next lifetime, I have to do more seva. You know what I'm saying? I have to be sit in darshan for like so many years. And it just keeps on going and going and going and going. It just never ends. So when there is this, it's the authenticity, it's the sincerity of the speakers that I found. You know what I'm saying? That was just, I don't need any proof or anything. And when there's just this humility that there's no one that can achieve this, it's not a special club, meaning that there's also no one here. And it just made it was just kind of like, I'm like, well, damn it, what's going to be special? It's the end of specialness, because there's this specialness that is held high. You know, when I used to think of all of these sages, you know, I'm like, you know, I want to get there. I want to reach that pedestal. Show me how to get there. And I was transfixed with that. It was just this, you know, and I thought I was on my way. It's kind of like, it's almost like, you know, kind of like, you've already won, like, you know, $100,000, and you're aiming for the 1 billion jackpot. I'm like, should I play it?
Of course. Of course.
And then all of a sudden there's this lottery, and it basically says, well, you know what, you're not going to win anything, because that's just an illusion. I'm like, it's not an illusion. I have $100,000. And when this appearance, seeing, and also, it's like winning the lottery, but no one won. And you don't get to enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah, because there's no prize.
And there's also no waiting.
No waiting, yeah. Oh, someone said, Oh yeah, it's been 2 hours. Sorry. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll open up the breakout room. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to be back
Thank you,
in the breakout
Emerson.
room. Thank you. That was just so much fun. It's just so much
That was
fun just
good.
chatting
Thank
about
you,
that.
Emerson.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Kathy. Thank you,
Thank
Susie.
you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank
Thanks.